everybody, and welcome to the Katie Weaver Show. This is Katie. I'm your host. I'm so happy to be here. If you are listening live, it is about 11 a.m. Pacific time on the 13th of June already. We're already in the last week of Gemini season. Isn't that wild? Seems like it's gone so fast. If you're listening to an archive or a replay, I also want to welcome you to the show. And of course, welcome to everybody that's coming into the chat rooms. So you can find the 12 Radio chat room by heading over to 12radio.com. Click on the chat button, and you'll be redirected into the Facebook chat. And you can join the group there and see my banner at the top of the page where other people are chatting. You can also watch, rather than just listen to this event over on YouTube, Katie Weaver, Domestic Mystic, or Facebook, Katie Weaver, Domestic Mystic. So you can do it anyway. And I do have my finger on the pulse of all of those chats. So if wherever you're commenting, I should see it and be able to interface with you. So welcome. I'll admit I am developing quite the cough. So I apologize. I'll try to mute. Don't want to do that in your ear, but I don't know what's going on. It's fine. It's really fine. Wow. Well, how are you guys doing? How are things? How was your weekend? How's the energy for you right now? Last week when we talked, the Schumann resonance was 120, which is just beyond bonkers and crazy. And then for a few days after that, I watched it sit somewhere right in the 50 to 40 range, still high, but not crazy high like that. Today it's only 18. But wow, we sure are in a weird spot. Really high volatile energy right now that should be paid attention to because this is the kind of energy that sometimes we see people that are kind of on the edge, maybe with their mental health, kind of lose their shit. So it's definitely worth paying attention to and just knowing. So 18's good. We're calming down. So I think that's actually encouraging. We need to. Per normal, the US is a hotbed of anger amongst various groups and parties, and it is something to be paying attention to. Though, not that you have to worry your heads off about it, you don't, but there is that. We have had so many adventures in the last few days, I don't even know where to start. Uh, Again, I'm going to complain that Facebook makes it so hard to share pictures in groups. Why you can't share a grouping of pictures is beyond me. So I have pictures to share, but it's going to take me a minute to get them all up. Uh, but I want to tell you about Pride. So Rexburg Pride was on Saturday. And if you're surprised that we have a Pride here, I am too. There is a counseling center that opened an LGBTQ hangout spot a few years ago because they're trying to save the lives of the teenagers here who still think that being dead is better than being gay because of their families' religious proclivities and the judgment that they're receiving from the community at large. And this agency, bless them, are trying desperately to keep these kids on the planet. And in their attempts to do so, they started Pride. And we went to the first year, and it was really great, really great. There was so much happening, so much love. It was a real coming home for a lot of people from this community who left here very ostracized and never ever felt like they would fit in here. They came back for Pride and they spoke and they promised kids it gets better and they supported, and it was really, really good. And then last year, I actually didn't go to Pride. I forgot. I remembered later in the day when saw people posting about it and it was over. And I couldn't not believe we forgot. But anyway, didn't go. So this year, I was determined to go, partly because I've been seeing some really concerning conversations happening in my community about Pride. The new talking point, calling people groomers and pedophiles, for simply being a drag queen or being trans or supporting the LGBTQ community. And so I've been doing my best to be a good advocate and ally, and speak up when I can. And that's about all you can do, but I've tried. And yes, I have been called a pedophile many times in the last few weeks. I've been called a groomer. I have had CPS threatened on me on more than one occasion, which is hysterical considering that my baby is 20. But people around here are really drinking the Kool Aid on that, and it's not good. So we knew at Pride this year there was going to be a pretty sizable protest. The first year, there was like three people that stood across the street from the park holding a few signs, and they gave up and left after a few minutes. This year, we knew it was going to be more than that, and it was. Uh, there is a man in our community who I would consider alt right, or a Christian nationalist, maybe, who ran and actually got into a state representative seat, and then lost. His name is Ron Nate. Then lost, and then lost again, and everybody who runs against him, it's super nasty. He and his family are horrible attack dogs online and elsewhere, and they're just bad people. They're awful. His wife served on the school board and made my mom's life an absolute nightmare as a teacher years ago. They just suck. So anyway, of course, he was the one leading the charge because lost his last election by 36 votes. 36! We came that close to having this fool back in our representing us. He's awful. Anyway, so he's trying to get those 36 votes, yo. So he had stirred up the masses. There have been signs, like political size signs put all over public land here the last 2 weeks, uh, anti-drag signs. Because these people don't understand that Pride isn't just a giant drag show at all. But they don't know because they don't care, because they don't want to know. They want to be scared. They want to be mad. Somebody told them to be scared and mad, so they are going to do it. So, anyway, we knew that there was going to be some protesters at Pride. And I did want to be there in order to just support all of my friends that are drag queens, that are trans, that would be there. And so anyway, we went, and first off I have to show off our t-shirts because we made the cutest t-shirts. I'm wearing mine right now, but I'll show you what they look like because you can't go to Pride. And I was so glad we did because I didn't want to blend in with the protesters that were there. I was really relieved that we took the time to make our shirts. I posted them in the chat room, but here they are in the video. This one's mine. This is my sister Kara's. But yeah, like, right? Like, I didn't wanna blend in with the wrong people over there for sure. That's Mars's. And this was my niece Mia's. Not nearly as good of a picture, but, I was in a hurry. And then we made a whole bunch of buttons too that we wore and also, passed out to other people. So, anyway, so Pride was interesting. There was a contingent. There was about 20 people, I think, though it looked to me like they had kind of more people just kind of wandering the crowd to be disruptive too. But they were carrying their stupid signs, holding them in people's faces. At one point, they actually propped them up against the stage, and the Pride Committee made them move them because they have this space paid for and reserved for the afternoon. So, well, they can't really stop them from coming, but they can stop them from, doing stuff like that, putting their signs on the stage. They all gathered right in front of the stage to take a picture. They were so proud of their hate. So proud of their hate. Ron Nate was there doing interviews with the news, calling everyone there pedophiles and groomers. And that drag queens are pedophiles and groomers and all of the same tired, stupid arguments that just keep coming up because people don't have any brains. But, what can we do? Well, we can fight back, right? In 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 good ways. No physical fighting back because that's just a mess. But anyway, that's the so but that was kind of the contingency. But at one point, mm, at one point, our friend Miss J showed up. She's a drag queen. And she was the first. Well, there was one other drag queen wandering around that was much less flamboyant. This is our Miss J, who Jay is easily 6'5", and then in her heels and her headpiece, like 8 feet tall. You cannot miss her for anything. And she's a good friend or he's a good friend, JT. He's been a friend of ours since grade school. Literally, my mom taught him. His mom taught us band. Like we've known this family for a million years. His older sister's my age, and we've been friends forever. So anyway, we always support Miss J. And when she got there, she got mobbed, and not in a good way. All of those effing people ran up to her with their stupid signs and were basically holding them over top of her, like over her face. And so, of course, the pride contingency also mobbed in trying to protect her. Like it got scary. There was a lot of police presence there, and they actually pulled out their riot shields. The police had riot shields that were they were trying to use them to separate the uh, protesters to one side of the sidewalk and the pride people to the other side. And so we were kind of a part of that crowd. And one of their protesters was right in front of me. She ran right up, and this lady was like easily 75 years old. She ran up right in front of me, and well, she had been trying to hold her sign up, and Mars had put herself in between her and the crowd, and just kept kind of just cock blocking her, wouldn't let her through. But she finally got to the side of Mars. She ran up behind a man that was in front of her, who also was holding a sign, but it was a it was an ally sign. She smashed into the side of him and then started screaming, "That man hit me in the face! That man hit me in the face!" And I said, "No, he didn't." "Yes, he did. He hit me right here." And she starts pointing at her eye. And I said, "Ma'am, I was standing right here and I watched you run into the back of him. He didn't hit you." "Yes, he did. He hit me. That was intentional." And I said, "You're lying and you need to knock it off." And I was kind of laughing inside because this lady could have been my grandma. Yeah. She's like, "I'm not lying." I said, "You're lying. You're full of hate. You shouldn't be here and you need to stop it right now." And by God, she stopped it right now. That just killed me, man. She was trying to play the victim after what she was there to do, what she was there doing. She thought she was going to be the victim. I just wasn't having it. Now, we were supposed to be peaceful. The Pride people had made it very clear we're going to ignore the protesters. We're not going to give them a lot of energy. And that's fine. And that's what we mostly did. Except for that in that moment, there is no way I could just stand by and watch that lady pretend like she was the victim and try and cause trouble and get someone in trouble for hitting her in the face. Are you kidding me? Well, and Mars was standing right there too. And she said, "Did you not notice that you hit me in the face with your sign?" And then she turned her head and refused to look at either one of us anymore. But I don't, this is not who I want to be, but how come we just watch this kind of hate, watch this kind of ugliness and not be present, not do something? Not everyone can. I know. And I also understand that it's not really safe everywhere. And I will say there was a dude wandering around ours with an AR. Yeah, open strapped AR. He was dressed all in camo. Like, who did this GI Joe wannabe think he somebody needed to come get their grandpa? Almost all of the protesters were much older people. But he wandering around with that gun, that makes me sick inside and outside. There were a ton of police there, and the police were really great, and there were some cops in front of us, and so I said, "Hey, you probably already know this, but there's a guy over there with an AR," and he rolled his eyes, and he goes, "Oh, I know." He goes, "There's 3 of them." I only saw the one guy, but he goes, "There's nothing we can do about it, but we are definitely aware of them." Why? This is the public park. Why do they get to just wander around with their guns on full display like that? It was scary. Our girls were shaking scared when they saw that. Why? Because this is the generation of school shootings. This is the generation of kids who actually had to have active shooter drills. When me and you had drills for earthquakes that never happened and had to hide under desks, these kids had to have active shooter drills that were terrifying. These kids lived through days where they would play out big events in their school that would take hours while they hid in classrooms that were barricaded. That's the kind of shit that my kids had to live through in school. So when they go to an event like that and they see somebody wandering around with an AR, what are they supposed to think? Right? That's just intimidation. And you don't know who a good guy with a gun is. Nobody knows. We don't know that this guy was 1 second from going postal and turning that gun on everybody. We don't know that. And then I watched him. The crowd they do a walk. So there's no parade, but our that park has a really wide like walking running path. So they do a walk that basically just weaves all the way through the park. And there was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people there. So it was a big group. And so they had already walked all the way around and they were coming back into the area where Pride was actually happening. And that man with that gun walked towards them and tried to cut through them. I mean, the path probably accommodates like 5 or 6 people, maybe, and it was packed. This was a huge group of people that were all packed together on the path, and he tried to force his way through the center of those people with an AR. They actually didn't let him through. They held steady and just kept walking and kind of just forced him to the side of them. But if anybody thinks that was for anything other than to terrify and intimidate, they would be absolutely wrong. It's wrong. So what I did do is made videos, a bunch of them. I'm not going to play them here, but they're on my Facebook page if you want to see them. Mostly just me videoing from afar with snarky commentary, not engaging because we were asked not to. But I I'm just disappointed and disgusted with my community right now. Really disappointed and disgusted. You don't have to like Pride. You don't have to go to Pride. You don't have to anything. I don't care. But to go and behave like that and be terrifying on purpose and act in a way that creates that kind of fear in people, why? Why? Why in the world would you do that? I don't know. I don't get it. I never will. But I do know that my mama raised me to be an activist, and I cannot just stand by and watch this shit without at least being an advocate. So that's what we did. Did we make any difference at all? I don't know. But we were at least there to witness and to support. That's all we can do sometimes. So there you go. And to speak out and be willing to be called a pedophile and a groomer and all of the ugly things I've been called online the last while, but I don't care. I just don't care. And so that was pride. Now, on the flip side, there were some beautiful things. There was this absolutely adorable trans girl who read an original poem. It was so sweet. And as she was reading her poem, and we're talking about she was maybe 16, 17, she was a kid. And those people started booing her. booing a child reading an original poem on a stage in front of hundreds of people. Somebody actually shut them down. I don't know if it was their Grand High leader or who it was, but somebody shut them down and they stopped. But wow. But other original poems, there were songs, there were speeches, and there were so many beautiful people there in all their colors on full display, just having fun. And by and large, doing a really good job of ignoring the bullshit and just being there to enjoy the experience and to have fun and to celebrate each other. And that was the good stuff. And there was a lot of good stuff. And I do think that by the time it was over, most of them felt really good about it. And they did finally, Pride started at 3, and I think by about 5:36 they had finally left, the protesters. And yeah, it paved the way for these guys to have fun. And then they had a dance party later that night somewhere else that we did not attend. But uh, so there was a lot of good. I don't want to take away from that. But there are just some things, you know, some things that are, I just, I can't, I won't not talk about. And if talking about it on this show makes anyone uncomfortable, I can't help you. This is always who I've been. It's always who I'm going to be. But there you go. So there's a soapbox for you. I do want to talk about Luminous a little bit because Pride was by far not the only adventure I've had this last week. We have had a bunch of them. Scott and Mars and I went up into the mountains a few days ago looking for morels. And morel mushrooms, if you guys have them where you are, they're they have a short season, at least here. They are very hard to find. They're quite the delicacy. And every year we go out several times and we might come home with enough for dinner once. You just don't find much. And somehow last week we drove up into the mountains above our house and we came into, I mean, we could have kept going and going and going. We finally had to go home because I had a radio show to do. But it was insanity what we came into. We picked a huge Tupperware full and also a Walmart bag completely packed. All we brought was that the Tupperware thing we brought for him because you don't find that many. But holy moly, we went on and on and on. So if you don't know what a morel is, I put some in the chat room, but this is what morels look like. These are huge too, by the way. They don't always get this big, but this is the area of which we were looking. Where we found them is so ironic. They were underneath the huckleberry bushes. This is exactly where we go to pick huckleberries in the fall. Isn't that crazy? It's also where I will go in July to gather rose petals. They're all in the same place. Yeah, gorgeous place. So that's what a morel looks like growing out of the ground. We also found some oysters growing on trees that we brought a few of those home too. Yeah, it was amazing. Amazing day. Amazing to come into morels like that. It just doesn't happen. So we were excited. Scott was beyond excited. And we made a soup. He made a like a creamy mushroom soup out of some of them for dinner. My God. You know, you make a pot of soup, everybody eats their fill, right? That's how soup goes. And it was with the soup too, but the next day we were parceling out like, is there enough soup? Okay, Mars had a bowl, I had a bowl. I said, okay, there's one bowl left, we're going to sit it aside here so that Scott can have it because yeah, we were parceling out soup. It was that good. I don't think I've ever really done that before, but this soup was worth it. Anyway, so that was super fun. But then on Sunday, we took a ride we drove up into uh, Grand Teton National Forest. Grand Teton National Park, looking for bears. I don't know what it is, you guys. There are so many bears in Grand Teton National Park and in Yellowstone. I never see them. I go to the places where everyone else is seeing them. We never see them. Part of it, I think, is we don't have a long range enough scope. And part of it, I, I think we're bad at it. But anyway, so I do this every year about June. I see everyone else seeing all the bears, and I'm like, we're going. So we went. We did not see the bears, which is just really damn disappointing. However, we did see a lot of other things, amazing things. So I can't be too disappointed about not seeing the bears because it was a really, really good day. So I'm going to share some stuff with you. As soon as I get my link going here. So if you received Luminous this morning, you know that that the cover is a picture that Mars took. This is of the Wyoming side of the Grand Tetons. Yes, it was creamy mushroom soup, Jane. It was so amazing. So amazing. We're gonna go pick more else just to make that. We dried the rest of them. They dry really well in the food dehydrator, and then you can just set them aside and rehydrate them all winter long. Whenever you want to use them, you just soak them in some broth or some wine or some water, and they rehydrate really nicely to use. Yeah. Okay, so I shared a link to Luminous. I'm going to open it up here. So yeah, that's the Tetons with still a lot of snow on them. Wow. And of course it was kind of a cloudy day. But they're still gorgeous anytime. So I called the magazine this week the Stunning Earth edition because man, at least where I live, June is the month. Everything is still really green. We're still getting a lot of rain. Everything is absolutely gorgeous. By July, a lot of it'll be kind of starting to burn up and not be so pretty. But this time of year, this is where it's at. So I was just going to show you some of the pictures that Mars took. I didn't really take any pictures. I was on the lookout for bears, my God. I did a bad job, but that's what I was watching for. But Mars took some awesome pictures. So I was going to share some of those with you. So, of course, bison, bison are funny in the park. They're prolific, they're everywhere. But I have been to the park before where you didn't see a single one. They're not always just right there front and center, but they should be, I think. I don't know. I don't know why you don't always see them, but we saw some pretty cool bison. This guy and his BFF were running down the middle of the road. They dropped down from a hillside right in front of us, made a car had to just kind of sit and wait forever while they walked around it, and we had to sit and wait too and just block traffic, but then they headed off to the side of the road, and she got some cool shots of them. So here's another shot of the Tetons. This is Island Park. This is a mountain called Two Top where we like to camp. Yeah, here they're still looking a little scroungy. In fact, as this guy was running down the road, a big piece of that wool fell off in the road. And Scott was going to grab it because he's like, that's cool. I want to feel it. And the car in front of us stopped and picked it up. So wild, but they were enormous, you guys. Look how big they are. They were enormous. We also saw this buffalo just having quite the conversation with this little bird. This bird landed right in front of him and just sat there, and they sat there together for quite a while. And then she just saw this pretty robin sitting on a fence. Yep. More of Island Park. And the flowers. These flowers, these big bunches of wildflowers are everywhere. There's white ones and there's yellow ones. And they just cover the prairies and they are so pretty. And then this deer, this funny little buck, he ran out in front of us. We were on like a foresty road and ran into the trees. And then he just kept watching us and kind of stalking us and running alongside of us. And she got some really fun shots of him just hanging out watching us. So, anyway, that's some of our weekend adventures. Gotta relish them because, we, our season is very short. All right, so we'll move on to bitch scopes with Kelly. Talking about the new moon already. We'll read a scope. Let's see. Take me an hour to scroll down here. Let's do Leo. This moon is all about your connections to other people, which I love for you. The Gemini moon will be in your 11th house of people you know, making for a super social vibe for you to take advantage of. Saturn and Neptune are in your intimate 8th house, taking things deeper. No matter how you look at it, you will have a lot of people around you. Think about trying to manifest more authentic intimacy in both your social and romantic relationships. Awesome. So, check out your scope, the scopes of your friends, your family, your boss, your neighbor, whoever that you need to understand. This helps a lot. All right. My tip this week are my bath salts for hangovers. You'll understand why here in a minute. Uh, this is a really good one, though. So you combine 2 cups of sea salt, 10 drops each of grapefruit, juniper, and lavender. You shake it well and store it in a glass jar, always a glass jar when you make bath salts. I really just like to use canning jars. Add a half a cup of salt to a warm bath whenever the affliction strikes. So, juniper is really purifying. Grapefruit also is purifying. However, if you are on some older blood pressure meds, grapefruit is counterindicated. But you should know that. If you're on that med, you were probably told that you shouldn't eat grapefruit or have grapefruit things. And then lavender helps to calm you, calm your stomach, so on and so forth. Okay, Christy's energy exercise this week is for inner peace. Ginger's heart happenings this week, bringing birds, which I love it. So she said the angels and guides have given birds, also often known as messengers, like Geminis, for all of the zodiac signs. I thought that was super fun. So, Capricorn, the bird the angels and guides give you is the ostrich. The angels and guides show sacred support, and the birth of something new brings a blessing. Nice. So be sure and read your scope there as well. Pisces gets the crow. The angels and guides show gifts ahead as you continue to transform and grow a spiritual, oh, transform, a grow and spiritual divine help to assist you in your journey. Love it. Very cool. So that's what's up. All right. Over at True Crime Squad, we've recorded our second trunkumentary last night. This was the Shiny Happy People Duggar Family Secrets episode 2. Whew. The premise of that show is that we watch a documentary and then when we talk about it, we're drinking. It just gets kind of silly and wild and fun and uh oh my goodness. Whew. It was just 2 shots of gin and a little pull on a bottle of moonshine. But like I'm a real lightweight. I hardly ever drink, so when I do, anyway, it kicked my butt pretty hard. So but if you are curious about the Duggars, and would like to know a little bit more about them, let me recommend our first and second true crime documentaries that were both on this documentary over on Prime. Or go watch it yourself. But may I recommend Gin? Whew, yikes. Anyway, thus the hangover bath salts. When I was younger, I never got hangovers. I used to that used to be a flex for me. Like I don't get hungover. Well, I don't know where that girl went, but she does now. So that's it. That is Luminous for the week. I hope that there were some gems in there for you, some things that helped you out in one way or another. But that's what I've got. Just jumping into the chat room here. Excuse me. Pamela said, I saw your pictures of the guy with the gun. I sprained my eyes looking at them. Right? Yeah. Thank you, Leslie. She said, I'm loving your show today, especially calling the lying ladies out. I don't like to have like public confrontations like that, but there was just no way. Chris said, can you imagine if surgeons only saved the lives of those who were in their level and alignment of beliefs? Yeah, it would be terrifying, right? Yep, absolutely. Oh, Jane said, I rarely see the whales when everyone else is saying they're out in the ocean. Interesting. What the hell? Oh, that's weird, Cindy. If you scroll all the way up, oh, there, I think you probably found him. Okay, I saw your comment. Yeah, okay. I have also never seen the whales, Shane, but I have, that's something I'd really like to do is go on a whale watching trip. Wouldn't that be fun? Except for, oof, I am real prone to seasickness. I went out on a fishing boat on the ocean once in Oregon, and oh my gosh, and we had taken like done the patch thing for days and taken Dramamine, and like I was ready. My God, I was so sick, but I didn't throw up. I just like my stomach hurt like oh so much. But Scott had refused to take anything. He's like, I don't get seasick. I'll be fine. Like you don't. And the rest of us are like prepping, knowing that we get seasick. And he was like, I don't get seasick, being a tough guy. Guess what? He could not quit throwing up. Oh, there's our troll. All right. Goodbye, troll. Victoria said, oh, episode 2 was heavy. I needed to drink the first watch. I know. I know. You guys, those Duggars and the people that they're involved with, the IBLP, they do uh, blanket training and that kind of training children. It's based on a book by the Pearls called Training Up a Child. It is child abuse. But one of the blanket training absolutely slayed me that they take babies and sit them on a blanket and show them a toy that they like and put it just away out of their reach off of the blanket and they point at the toy and tell them no, don't touch. And then every time the baby reaches out for the toy, they slap its hands until it learns not to reach out for the toy. Babies! Babies! They also said that the way to get a baby to stop crying is to spank it until it stops. This is child abuse. What in the what? I am I'm dumbfounded that anybody thinks that's okay, but also that we're allowing that. But the blanket training slayed me. But that's what they do. Yeah, I know, Victoria. I was unbelievable. Unbelievably pissed off and disgusted. Oh, yeah. Sherry said I turned off episode 2. Barf. Yeah. It is child abuse, right? It is. My God. Anyway, yep. They're the worst, the actual worst. But anyway, I digress. All right. I noticed a couple of questions. Oh, poor Mary. Mary said, I'm in vacation purgatory. I'm recovering from COVID that I must have gotten in Amsterdam. The cough keeps me up at night. Ah, Mary, I'm sorry. That sucks. That sucks. Training that sounds like a fast track to psychopathy for sure. Well, and the stuff they do with their boys regarding sex and sexuality creates predators. And with girls, frankly, creates victims because not that it's their fault at all. That creates victims because they have been absolutely taught that their bodies don't belong to them. I It's awful. That's all I'm going to say about it here. It's awful. Yeah. Okay. Back to the chat room because I saw a couple of questions that I wanted to get to. Chris said I get seasick in a bathtub. I just almost am there with you, Chris, for sure. Not good. Okay. Catherine said would welcome a scan guidance as June has started with health concerns for my mom and the sudden passing of a dear friend. Catherine, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, let's take a peek at you. You're pretty ungrounded. That's where some of that anxiety is coming from. And I'm sure that was the death of your friend shaking your core here. So let's get you good and grounded. Sometimes events that like literally shake you to your core or your root, get that root all out of whack. And then you really can't process all of those energies and emotions because you don't have any capacity to, because there's nowhere for it to go besides keep building up in your heart and in your head. I have a lot of pain in my jaw, up into my ear, and into my head when I feel you too. Right side, but that's not necessarily your side. Okay. Let's clear your aura too, because I feel like the mom health concerns, the just everything has got you pretty weighed down. So let's clear through that too. I'm so sorry, Catherine. June is supposed to be magical. Damn it. Good. Awesome. Okay, good. So that at least got you cleared out and balanced and got some good light around you. Hopefully that's a good start. But I'm sure sorry you're going through that. Nora said, can you scan me if you're doing such? I just heard what you said about mental health. Spot on. Norella, let's also get you grounded and in a better spot here. You just feel so stuck in the mud. I feel like you are just feeling so unmotivated and unable to really break out of that. So I'm just grounding you, but also I'm going to do some work in your sacral to really lighten you up, brighten you up. Okay. Norella, it comes up for me that it would be worth talking to your doctor about your vitamin D and your vitamin B12 levels to see where you're at on both of those and magnesium because it feels to me like you have got some imbalances that your doctor could help you out with so that you can get yourself together, get back to feeling motivated and excited about life and able to do the stuff you want to do. So I would ask for a really good look at your chemistry. and see what's out of whack here that we can make some adjustments to. Yeah. Lillian said, "Will my friend Tracy be buying the property in Virginia?" That feels like a yes to me. Mary would love a throat chakra clearing. That might help the cough go by for sure. Let's take a look. Yeah, my goodness, you're just so irritated. Make sure you're keeping the air in your house nice and moist. I know I said moist. People hate that word. It's one of those words that makes people's skin crawl. Moist. There, I said it again. I should probably stop saying it. All right, just clearing that out. I'm just going to put a big chi ball right on your chest too of emerald green to see if we can just help you to heal and get back on your feet. There we go. However, it looks like your trip to Europe was absolutely phenomenal. So good on that. Jane said, "Do you see us having a successful yard sale this Saturday? I'm seriously resistant, not knowing what's next, but trying to take one growth spurt at a time for sure." Actually, Jane, I do. I feel like it'll be a decent day, but also kind of a fun day of meeting people and just enjoying it. So I feel like, as far as like moving stuff, I feel like you'll sell quite a bit of stuff that you need to get done with. But also, I feel like it will be like just a fun day. Kind of a day to get you back into the land of the living where you're at now, which would be good for you. Yeah, for sure. Hey, Laurie. Okay. Oh, Tara, you bring up such a good point. She said, "Oh, I will be off to the North County Fair next Tuesday, so likely won't be there for your show. So happy birthday in advance." Thank you. And Tara, I hope you have a wonderful show or a wonderful fair. But you bring up a great point. Next week is my birthday giveaway show. So next Tuesday, I believe that is the 20th, we'll also be celebrating, of course, the summer solstice. But that is the my birthday giveaway show. So be sure that you are here in one chat room or another so that I can maybe give you something. Geraldine, if you still have time, I could use a scan. I also lost a friend this weekend, and I have a bad sore on my left leg. A tech nurse is coming this afternoon, but I'm so anxious. Oh, dang it. I'm sorry to hear that. On both fronts, yes. So let's give you a big boost as well. And really holding space that the nurse will have some great options for healing up that sore. I know that you don't heal very quick. All right, so I'm just getting you grounded. Boy, you have a lot of anxiety in your heart, in your chest. I'm going to clear that out too the best I can. Good. All right, and then let's put a big chi ball of gold and ruby around that leg. And again, we'll hold space that the nurse has some really good recommendations to help get this taken care of quickly. There you go, sweet. I'm sorry about that, dang it. All of that. Last thing you need. Okay. Sherry said, "Does Spirit have anything for me to know today?" Let's actually pull you a couple of cards, Sherry. Thanks for being here, Liz. Good to see you. All right, just pulling a couple of cards here. All right, Sherry. Okay, interesting. So the first card I pulled is spiritual strength. And this card does a lot of times indicate that you are going to have to fall back on your strength, your spirituality, trusting yourself in order to get through whatever it is you're working on. That's when that spiritual strength card comes up, that usually does not indicate to me that everything is great. It usually indicates that you've really got to rely on yourself. And then, interestingly, the second card that I pulled is the disruption card. What I feel like is going on, what we can anticipate here in the next couple of weeks, is people around you having a fair amount of chaos and trying to drag you into it. The strong message here is to really rely on yourself, your discernment, your knowledge, and choose where you want to put your energy. And for the crazy makers in your life, you may need to take a hard boundary, because I feel like that's what you're going to see, whether it's at work or at home or maybe both. But just the bad behavior of others starting to affect you in your life, and you needing to get a boundary on that and just not allow it. So that's what comes up for me. You can most certainly do that. The other part of that message for you is that you don't owe anybody anything, and you don't have to be loyal to bullshit. You don't have to allow a bunch of crap. You don't have to take a side. You don't. It's okay for you to step back and say, "This is not my circus, not my monkeys. I don't want anything to do with it." You don't have to do anything. Okay. Victoria said, "My friend is moving soon to help with family, and I was hoping to get a reading for her." Yeah, let me tune into her through you. Gosh, my stomach hurts just feeling into this, Victoria. I understand the need to go and that she's doing what she thinks is the right thing. But it feels like there's some uncomfy family dynamics there that are still there. You know, it's kind of that, well, sort of that old saying of wherever you go, there you are, you know? And kind of, like moving away from family, doing her thing has been a good thing, but going back with these folks, like there's some concerning dynamics there that are still there. I think with her, good boundaries as well will be really important. Being able to really create her bedroom as a sanctuary space, not saying yes to things she doesn't want to do, and also making sure that she carves out the time that she needs for herself. Like whatever she's going to help them with, making sure she has days off, she has time away, she has the opportunity to escape from all of this. She's going to need it. She is going to need it. And even though you're not going to be there, I hope that you guys will stay in contact, I'm sure, and that you can continue to kind of be a fun friend for her, a bright light, a bright spot for her, because she's going to need it. She's really going to need it. This has been this is going to be hard. Unfortunately, it's going to be hard. Sending a lot of love to her. But kind of the same reminder that I gave Sherry, like, you don't have to do anything. And if this is too much, if she gets into this situation and it's not a good situation, she can always change her mind. She might have to. She's a sweetheart and an angel, and I understand why she's doing what she's doing, but gosh, that's a toughie. Okay, JR, under a lot of stress. Can I have an energy reading? I'm about out of time, but I did want to wrap you up in a big, thick layer of light to see if we can just help diffuse some of that stress. Boy, the stress is because of the choices of others. Yeah. All right. Just going to put a lot of light around you to buffer that. and give you a good boost. Good. Okay. All right. Well, we have done it. Oh, really quick. Lillian said, my friend Carol wants to know if the Virginia property will be a good investment for Tracy. I feel like that's true. Yeah, I feel like that's true. A better investment than she even realizes now, that it could become really smart and lucrative down the road. So, yeah, yes. All righty. We've done it. We've talked down to the end of the show. And I'm glad to have been here and shared this hour with you guys as I always am. Just a reminder, I am a professional psychic advisor over at one2listen.com. That's number one, number two listen.com. You can find me over there every day. And if you head over there and I'm not there, just send me a message or send me a message. Send me a callback request or do a scheduled call and I will get with you. I promise. I always do. Uh, and that's where it's at. You can find me back on Thursday night on YouTube and Facebook Live with Christy doing the Psychic Hour. That's at 7 p.m. Mountain. Of course, you can find me over at True Crime Squad all week as well. And come back next Tuesday, June 20th at 11 a.m. Pacific for a celebration of both the summer solstice and my birthday. And I do have some fun stuff to give away this year, as you can imagine. Thanks so much, guys. Take care. This has been the Katie Weaver Show here on 1 2 Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.